Hello everybody, Emma Power here. Hope you're all having a very nice day, and today we're going to be taking a look at Charizard. Charizard has been a bit of a pet project of mine since Vivid Voltage came out because, like many other people, I truly believe Charizard could be one of the best Stage 2 Pokemon in the format. Was a bit disappointed, as you can probably tell, by the fact that Charizard is a bit lackluster. Mainly because Battle Sense and Royal Blaze, although they appear really strong on paper, they don't translate well into a very consistent deck, funnily enough, despite the fact that Leon over here is essentially buffing your attacks by 30 damage every time you use it or discard it. But the problem with Leon is it's not a draw supporter, and it has to be, and if you play it, then it's obviously not your draw supporter for turn. So that's kind of why I think Charizard has some serious issues with the format. It's not like Whimsicott, where you just need to dump a bunch of tools in play, or Excadrill, where you need to put Cinccino's in play. It's new, you need to find Leons, you need them not to be prized, and you need to have them disco power. And on top of that, of course, it's a rare candy deck, so you have to make room for it. However, in despite all the negativity, I think I've finally found a list that I'm happy with. This is one of the few lists that I've played from Charizard that I could safely say I would be okay with taking this into a tournament, because it's just been winning game after game, and I'm finally happy with sharing a Charizard list, because I've gone through about 4 different incarnations. If you have a really strong Charizard list, then feel free to use it in the comment section, and I can credit you and showcase it if you want. But for now, we're just going to take a look at this one. There are some immediately obvious choices that are, well, it's hard to phrase this, but they're a bit unconventional. So, right off the bat, we have one Zacian. This is just for the Intrepid Sword ability, of course. Once in your turn, you may draw 3 cards, but if you use the ability, it ends your turn, which is okay, because we want to get this out turn 1 with Quick Ball usually. So if we have to go first, we're not really at a serious disadvantage, because sometimes what can happen is you go first in some decks, you put a bunch of Charmanders in play, then the opponent realizes, oh wait, you're playing a red candy deck, I'm going to Marnie you, so you just lose your hand, basically. So Zacian V sort of threatens a Marnie a little bit more, but it also just provides you with extra draw power, so you're not ever behind the game, basically. It also makes Red Candy Charizard more likely turn 2. Speaking of red candies, we actually play 3 of them, we don't play 4. Now, this was a decision I made a little while back, because I found that 4 red candies didn't actually do a whole lot for the deck. I was like, okay, we need red candy turn 2, that's important, but like, 4 red candies, bit excessive, so that's what I ended up going for. We also play 1 Charmeleon though, just in case you do end up missing rare candy, and it is searchable with Evolution Incense. I found communication to be too reliant on what you had in your hand, and whether Great Ball was just like, okay, I'm going to Great Ball and see what I get and see if I can use it, whereas Evolution Incense, you know what you're getting. So I don't think you can go wrong really with Evolution Incense and Quick Ball. If you prefer communication, swap them in, but I'm a fan of Evolution Incense right now. We also play 4 Crushing Hammer. This is a surprising inclusion that I didn't really think I'd end up adding into a Stage 2 deck. But after flipping multiple heads, I was like, okay, these guys can stay in. I'm not usually a fan of Crushing Hammers, but they do slow ADP down quite a lot. They can slow Eternatus down to the point where it's very important. And they can just slow other decks down. Like even Welder decks, if you just discard an energy off Charizard, they have to reattach it, and they have to use Welder or something. So you can make life just a bit more awkward for some decks, and that can make the difference, to be honest. That can make the difference. We are using the Team Up Jirachi, so this deck is actually kind of cheap if you think about it. We are playing the cheapest Jirachi. It's only about 2 packs right now, 2 Vivid Voltage. You can play the Amazing Rare one if you would like, but I prefer this Jirachi because you can just try and find Red Candy, try and find Evolution Incense. You can even try and find Boss or Leon to discard. And that's, this is kind of like how we go about it, sorry. We also have 1 Dedenne. You could play 2 Dedenne, but I'm just playing the 1 for the Dedenne change ability, of course. It just lets you put on the bench, slap it down, discard your hand. 6 new cards. Very simple. We're only playing two prizers, so yeah, it's just like the opponent doesn't really have many alternate win conditions apart from, chewing through our Charizards. We also have 1 Aranguru, the last support Pokemon. You can swap this out if you really don't like it, but Primate Wisdom can be nice if you just need to, if you're trying to get that Rare Candy Charizard late game, and you just have to Primate Wisdom a Rare Candy or Charizard, then you can Marnie shuffle the hand back to the bottom of the deck. and then Primate Wisdom will let you draw into it. It'll also protect you from your opponent's Marnies, as well as your own Marnies, so that's kind of a nice thing. Not against Reset Stamp, unfortunately, but there's not much I can do about that. We are playing one Great Catcher. I think if you're not running at least one of these, then there's no need to potentially try and squeeze in one of these for every list, because it is essentially saying discard 2 cards from your hand and pull up a tag team Pokemon or a GX. So you can quite easily use this to close out games. You can pull up a Mew 3, a tag team Pokemon, or a Dedenne for 2 prizes. It won't get you Eldegoss or Crobat, sadly, which is why it's not too often in this list. If it did get you V Pokemon, obviously it would be like a 4 of in probably every deck, but sadly it's just GX and EX, thanks to coming out one set before V's dropped. But Great Catcher is still a really strong card, and I would definitely not take it out of the list now that I've been playing with it, because you can find with Jirachi. You can also play it as a Gust effect and play Marnie, Research, or Welder, which is why it's slightly stronger than Boss. But we still play the 2 bosses order, just in case opponent's like, okay, I'm just going to feed you a Pokemon. You probably don't play Boss because you're a Welder deck. And you're like, oh wait, no, we do play Boss. And we can find it fairly easy. Even though we're not playing Pokegear, we have Battle Sense. Where are we? Oh yeah, trainers. 4 Leon, obviously, we need 4 Leon. We can't play any less, sadly. We play 2 Marnie for each pair shuffles. You draw 5, opponent draws 4. Then we play 2 Research because we don't want to be as aggressive with our hands as you would think, because we don't want to go through this at 90 miles an hour. We'll end up discarding too many resources. And also, any more than 2 Research feels a bit greedy, but any less just kind of feels bad, because sometimes you do want to start a wish for a Research, discard your hand, get a new one, but generally it's okay. I'm okay without the 3 Research now, so 2 Research, fine. 3 Welder. Again, you can go to 4, but without Giant Hurf or Fire Crystal, I was like, no, we need the room for other cards, so I'm just going to play the Welder. In theory, if you really wanted to, you could cut the Crushing Hammers and add in 2 Hearth back into the deck, and then maybe 2 Fire Crystal or something. That seems kind of bad, just because Giant Hurf is countered so much right now with Chaotic Swells. It just felt like either I make room for a Marshadow, or I bump up the Hearth count to 3 or 4. And then at that point, I was like, yeah, this is kind of boring. Although it is worth noting that Hearth is pretty good in the sense that it can discard Leons from your hand, so that is a good synergy to point out. We are playing 4 Heat Pharangi. So this is an experiment that I was inspired by another Charizard list that I came across on the ladder, because I was playing, I think it was Morpeko or something, and I hit them for 150. And then they slapped one of these on their active, and I was like, oh, what does this do? And it's plus 20 HP, so basically you're saying your Charizards are 190 HP, so they're not 180, and that actually makes all the difference in some scenarios. If it just keeps you alive for another turn, keeps you safe from 30 damage times stables, 50 damage times stables, well, not 50s, but, 30s, 40s, etc. It can help, can really help. Then we have 8 basic Pharangis, kind of on the low count, but we do play 4 of the other, and we only play 3 Welders, so no real reason. I guess we forgot to mention we have 4 switching here, just to pivot around a bit. They're the only switching cards in the deck, so try not to be too greedy and discard them all with Battle Sense. You might find you only need 1 Jirachi in play anyway, so that's generally it for Charizard. I've been trying a Snorlax list, but the problem with Snorlax is that it's very reliant on your opponent just not bossing around Snorlax and KOing your Charmeleons, so not a fan of Snorlax right now in Charizard, but I could see it being potentially good in the future, especially post-rotation. Although I think post-rotation, you could probably just play Amazing Rare Jirachi. But yeah, this feels solid. It's a pretty solid deck. I would like to try this out in an event, actually, but I've not got any plans 10-1 right now. But I hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching.